My name is Shauna Sutton. I'm the clinical director here at Camelot, and I'm excited to introduce Mary Ann from Protected Tomorrows, and she's going to talk to us about planning for the future. So thank you for coming in.
Yeah, we have lots of technology here, so this is going to be fun. I love this. I can't wait to get one of these. Okay, so before I start, I would like to know about you. Helps me teach you a little bit. So we can go around and tell me who you are and tell me who you're here about, your child, and what you hope to get out of tonight.
Sure. My son is Peter here. He's 21 and a half, so he's just wrapping up here. We haven't done a whole lot in terms of any benefits, ducks in a row, so to speak. So I'm just trying to get a little more broad information.
Hi, I'm Mary Ann, also. I'm Bob's sister and Peter's aunt, and I'm here to help get whatever information I can get. Because sometimes, one person hears something and somebody else hears it differently.
I'm Kit Milton, Families of Envy. I'm here for Karen, my almost 18-year-old who is finishing up her senior year in Fairview Play School and high school as well. And want to kind of consider what I don't know to think about yet. I'm really concerned with guardianship and the process.
Interesting things we don't know. It's dangerous.
I'm Kishore, Kavin's father. He's 13 years old. I don't know what I don't know about the planning of it. I want to plan ahead for him, best of him, and for us. That's how it works.
How old is he?
13.
I'm the vocational coordinator at Camelot. My name is Joe. So I'm here to get information for people like that son Peter.
I'm here for my brother Eric. I'm here to basically like older brother. He's a big brother. All right. Anybody else have anything to say?
I'm Eric and Peter's teacher. I'm Deborah Pendergast, special ed, vocational ed teacher. You're one of the two.
So this is interactive. While I'm talking, if you have a question, raise your hand. Don't go too long. I think we get to 8. So we're going to try to keep it on schedule. So this is why I'm here. I am a financial professional, but the reason I'm here is because I have a sister, 3 sons, and parents all the same. So I've lived it from every side of the world. My background is financial. I was a mergers and acquisitions person in the corporate world for 20 years. Bought and sold companies. I worked for, before that I was an IT person, so I worked for Ross Perot. I worked for Jack Walsh. I had some great teachers. And then it was a brutal world. I'm working sometimes 3 days without going home. And so one of my last jobs was with Citicorp, and they I was traveling around the world, and they said, okay, we want you to move to New York. And I said, no, I have 3 little boys. I just married someone with those boys, and I'm not going to New York. So I decided to open up my own company 30 years ago now, I believe. And I decided I was going to open up a financial company and I was only going to work with families who have a family member with disability. And I had no idea what I was getting into. I knew a lot about companies, but I didn't know anything about SSI or Medicaid or trust and all the stuff we have to know. So I thought if I'm going to do it, I better ask my parents what they've done. So I went to my parents and I said, what kind of plans? So this is my sister Marcia. She's 4 years younger than me. She's a twin. And so and I went to them and I said, so have you done any planning? And my parents' answer was, it's none of your business. Yeah. Oh. and I thought, why would they say that? I remember I was a sister. I wasn't a mother yet. A sister. So why would they not want to? So I figured that they must be thinking I'm talking about the money. They saw me as a money person. So I asked her again, and my dad said, we don't want to talk about it. It's not that it's none of my business, they don't want to talk about it. And so I didn't bug them for a while, and about a year later, I just kept bringing it up softly. And about a year later, my dad said, okay, we'll tell you what we did. We have a plan. Our plan is that there were 6 children. We were going to split our estate 6 ways, but you're going to get 2 of them, 2/6, because you're going to use her 6. You're going to manage it. So we're going to disinherit her. And she's going to live with you. So that's the plan.
Well, sounds like a mighty good plan.
And I still didn't understand everything they had done, but I know why they picked me. Okay, there were 6 children. I was the one, I was closer to her than her twin. And I went everywhere with her. I was the one when we were growing up, was her buddy. When I was 6 years old, she was 2. And my parents sat me down and said, Marcia is going to be your job. I'm 6. And I said, well, even my job. Well, because you're going to take care of her for the rest of your life. And I thought, wow, is that going to be cool? Because I was one of those kids who loved, give me work, give me stuff to do. I loved helping. I was the oldest girl. So they thought, oh, good, we picked the right one. And so as time went on, I kind of saw myself as the one who's going to watch out for her. But I fought. I wanted to be her sister. I didn't want to be her parent at 6. So I remember being in the store with her though. I was about 10. She was 5. So we were walking at the grocery store, and she was holding onto the grocery cart. She could walk a little bit though. She's walking, and she walked different than everybody else. She had cerebral palsy, and she was developmentally too. So, and somebody was just staring at her. And I turned around. I was 10. I looked at them. So what are you staring at? And they were embarrassed because they were caught. So they hustled off. She looked at me and she said, "You tell them, Mayor." So she was verbal, and you always knew what she was thinking. And I thought, I have to be her protector. I was 10, and there's certain things you remember as a child, and that was one of the stuff, the phases that I went through with my sister. And I tell you this because you probably never checked her. And so I'm sorry, I have a cold, so I guess I'm and so time went on, and I watched her go into different problems. Then all of a sudden she's 21. And I was taking her everywhere. I was taking her to concerts with me. I took her to a Barry Manilow concert. We got her tickets in the front seat. She loved Barry Manilow. I'm embarrassed to say that, but we did. And we're sitting in the front row, and she always sang along. Barry Manilow stops the concert. She sang along and said, "Okay, you can come on stage and sing with me one song if you don't sing the rest of the concert."
Oh my
So she had all kinds of experiences. But on her 21st birthday, I decided she should have a party. So I invited all my friends to my apartment. I lived in a story lab apartment building. And got her upstairs, invited my friends. We were drinking one beer, including her. She was drinking one beer. She was on Depakote. And yeah, we were drinking one beer. I was 25. How to go to it. And my parents came to pick her up, and she was like, "No, it was so fun." She was as drunk as a skunk. My mother was so mad. She didn't talk to me for 2 months. She said, "What are you thinking?" But Marcia had to hang over for 2 days. But ever after that, every time she introduced me to somebody, she'd put her arm around me and say, "This is my sister. We got drunk together when I was 21. So who's teaching me lessons? Her, right? What did she want? What did she want? Besides, she didn't want a 2-day hangover. But what did she want? Pretty normal. She got bashing into my brain all the time. She wanted normal. Parents didn't want it. They wanted it, but they didn't. They wanted to keep her safe. And I was the one pushing her out. So she's 34, living at home with my parents. And I was at my parents on a Sunday. And I thought, Dad's phone rings, so it's Clearbrook. They had a funded room. For her. And my parents said no. So I said, "Who is it? Who's Clearbrook?" But that time I was kind of knowing what's going on. And I said, "You said no. Why did you say no? We're not right." I didn't get it. I said, "Let's ask her." So I went to her and said, "What do you want?" She said, everybody moved off of me. I want to move out. But what would Mom and Dad do if I was home? So you'd be surprised what our kids understand about our need for them as much as their need. So she moved out. She did great. She had her own room. She had responsibilities. She did stuff she never would have done. She stayed at home with us. And I tell you that because we have to let our kids do, they have to look for the dangers. That's what other kids have. So, and then I had a day that totally changed my life. It was March 4th, 1995. It was a Saturday. I'm sitting in my office. My phone rang and I picked it up. It's my dad. And the only words were, "She's gone." She had a seizure in her sleep. She couldn't turn over and she suffocated. So I've been doing this for a while. Sometimes I can't do that part of my speech. And I thought, okay, I can't do this anymore. I'm not going to be able to get up and teach. I can't. But I had a business mentor who was really smart and guy, and I went to see him. And he said, okay, for the rest of the day, you're in the corner, in the naughty corner. And you're going to write to me, because all you've been telling me for 10 years is how important she was to you. So don't waste it. So I sat and I wrote, and out of that came what I do to it. So I figured out that I learned a lot about what she wanted. And so I decided to take that and use it and teach people about independence and use some of my financial skills and figure out how can I really help families. By that time I knew I'd gone through training in those days, so Security was very open about teaching. So I went into classes about SSI and Medicaid and Medicare. So I got taught by the people who really cared about it in the government in those days. And I got taught by the attorneys who, when I started, the Special Needs Trust was just coming around. I started the business in 1990, and the Special Needs Trust was passed as statute in 1991. So I was kind of like in it when nobody else was doing this. When I opened my business doors, everybody said, "You're crazy. Can't be that many people who need this." So sometimes we have 50 or 60 people living today to our offices, right? It's a lot of people. So my mission is now to just help families, help their family member have a safe and fulfilling life. Since then, I was supposed to be in this spot because since then I married someone with 3 little boys. Well, we're born with a family system. They had lots of issues. 2 of the oldest and the youngest have done well. The middle guy at the age of 21 shot himself. He's alive. He's very OCD. He's blind, and he's doing great. He's doing the best. It's been a journey. And then over time, my mother developed dementia. I was in depression with my sister's death, and my father became blind. So I was their caregiver for 20 years. So here we are, and I got lots of experience, and I try to use it with families. And I have a team of people around the country, 25 in Lincolnshire. We have people we train around the country on families one-on-one. And they all have a family member with a disability, or they have worked as professionals in the disability world. So we help people either. So we can't get to everybody. I'll do sometimes 300 workshops a year around the country. I can't do that many anymore. I can't travel that much. So now we're doing them online. So we're doing telecasting. We're going to start a radio show to teach people. Every once in a while, little parent universities. So one night a month, we're teaching a different topic. And we're trying to do workshops in our training center as well. So that's about what we do. We created this entity called Protected Tomorrows. I still have a financial company. We manage about $4 billion for families around the country, and that allows me to do a lot of philanthropic stuff that we do by creating some charities and things like that. But the one thing I do know, and I've learned it as I try now to help my son, is it's always changing. A. B, it's hard enough if you don't have a child with special needs to plan for your future and to help them. And then all of a sudden you got this person that you're going to have to help probably for a lot of their life. Now I have many families who after 27 years are saying, "Oh, my child's really independent." Well, it didn't happen overnight, right, for years. So I do know that we're dealing with school, we're dealing with doctors, and we're dealing with, them coming out of school and transition, and thinking about them working. And somebody like me says, "Oh, there's more to do. You gotta know about benefits. You gotta become an expert. You as the parent always have to know more than the people that you're working with. Because there's only a small sliver of attorneys who understand this. There's even a smaller sliver of CPAs who know anything about it. In the financial industry, financial advisors and insurance agents, there's no training. The whole degree program to become a certified financial planner is 1 year. 20% of the population is disabled. And the other 80% are related to them. And as financial people, we are not trained how to work with them. So my company has a division now where we're training financial professionals. Because they don't know. So your lives are complex, and you're going to seek professionals to help you do your taxes, and to do your legal work, and to help help your child get a job, and to help them find recreation. And half the professionals you're working with come the foggiest of what your life is like. And you're like, I need help. So we try to take it one step at a time and help you think about, if you try to do all of it at one time, and so what happens though, is you've been in the school system, and now you're sitting here going, wow, I think I know a lot to do. If you had started it when your child was 3, it would have been easy, right? It'd be like, horrible in your mouth. But I'm going to teach you things you need to be thinking about. And a lot of these classes are online. There's all kinds of resources on our website and things that you can use to do that. Lots of stuff on our website if you want to look things up. We also have an architecture studio, so we modify homes to make them accessible. We are going to the board to do some of that. We are now starting to think about how we can create new housing. So my idea is to go to all these developers of senior housing who, when you think about senior housing, what's there? It's a place where there's entertainment, there's food, and there's transportation. And the biggest problem senior facilities have, what do you think it is? Staffing. Just could be employees there. Not kids. So I'm trying to work with some developers to say, create a subset of your senior housing, create some housing for people with special needs. Let them live there and work there. And have the recreation and have the transportation and all the stuff they need, and they can do lots of jobs there. And I know I have 3 employees who have disabilities. They're the ones who put all my packets together, they do all my shredding. They're at the front door waiting to come in before my other employees. It will become employees. They'll show up and they add a flavor to your business that is important. So we're trying to teach the senior facilities. So I think there's an opportunity there. I think it's just going to be a little journey, but I'm starting to see it happen already. So we are kind of in that space working on that. This is such a fancy. Then we have a vision called Tomorrow's Careers. So we go into companies, we teach them what jobs do you have that people with disabilities could do. But if you try to put those employees in those companies, they don't know how to manage, they don't know how to interview, and as soon as the manager changes, your child's out of a job. But they're in the job, they're doing really well. They switch supervisors, new supervisors know what to do in the job. So we're trying to do education. So there are companies, I'm on the board of Special Olympics. We just had a partnership with United Airlines. United Airlines has a huge commitment to hire people with disabilities. So we're going after those companies and we're going to teach them that don't overpay them. They can't be in them, there's certain things you can't do so they don't get in trouble with their benefits, but they have great jobs. This is my fun part of my life. This is my newest one. Tails for Life is a charity where we raise service dogs and give them away. They're custom designed for a person. So it started with a little girl in Wisconsin, fell on a ride in Dallas, landed on the pavement, and is now totally disabled. So her dad and mom fell apart. She's living with her grandma. And the doctor said she really needs a service dog, but there was no money. And so one of the people in Wisconsin who knew me said, could you help us think this through? So we started some fundraising. Well, there's someone who's pretty famous. His nephew lives in Wisconsin. He's a bad boy. He's on a TV show. You know Charlie Sheen. So he's a bad boy, right? His nephew lives in Wisconsin. His nephew approached me and said, maybe I can help. So Charlie Sheen gave us $25,000 for our first dog. That's what Charlie Life got started. Kind of fun. First dog's name is Charlie. So my son is blind, and so I've the trainer who we hired for Tails for Life to get a dog for my son. And a lot of the dogs are with orphans. So it's my son's amigo. He's not ready yet, but he'll be ready in about a year. It's 3 years of training. It's my son. Okay, so my goal today is to teach you enough so when you walk out, you're going to do something. Now, how many have gone to a class? You go home and you're so busy you do nothing. Okay, everybody raise your hand because we all have done that, right? I go to a seminar, I go home, oh wow, and then I get busy. So my only goal today is to get you to do something. Because if I can get you to do number 1, you'll probably do 2. here. And so at the end, I'm gonna ask you to do something for me. Commit to me one thing you're gonna do, and then I'll bug you. So when I was working in the corporate world, Jack Welch taught me one thing. Know what you want, know what you don't want. Real simple lesson. What does that mean? If you're gonna help a company, go here, you better know what success looks like. And you better know what failure looks like. Because if you don't know it, you're not going to recognize it. You're going to slap you in the face and you're going to miss the success. And you're going to have a failure surprise you. So he helped me understand how to create benchmarks of what my success looks like, what my failure looks like. So I'd recognize them right away and I could pivot, right, and make decisions. So that's what we're going to do. I've done it with my son, and I'll tell you, my son was in a coma for a year after shooting himself. He came to live with me after that, about a year. He's now living in his own residential place in New England. He's now on the disability commission of the town. He goes out and speaks to people about what depression is like, and he has saved 3 people's lives who are going to kill themselves. Now, that's just saying what success looked like. And his danger, I know his danger, I know his failure is when he gets depressed, he'll want to shoot himself again. So we found the safety net there. So you know what, you got to buzz me the minute you're feeling down, and we got to do this and we got to do this. I know what failure looks like. I'm prepared if failure happens. Not ever really prepared. I'm prepared. Yeah. All right. So we're going to do an exercise. Now I gave you some sheets of paper. I think some of you are writing at the beginning, but I want you to take out the big worksheet that's in here. It's like green and gold. It's a big sheet of paper. We're going to work on it. Does everybody have a pencil or pen that they can use? Need pencil. Because this is not just sit and listen. This is, I want you to write. We're going to go to box number 1. So the 2 boxes in box number 1 ask you 2 questions. One box says dreams and goals, and the other one says concerns and fears. This is where we're going to write what we want, what success looks like, and we're going to write what failure looks like. So what I want you to do, I don't care if it's words or it's a full sentence, under the box says dreams and goals, I want you to write what is the best thing that you can envision for your child's life. Just think about it and write a sentence or 2 about what is the best thing that can happen to them. And under concerns and fears, I want you to write your biggest fears for the future. For them. And this I call this take a candid look because I want you to be really honest here. Write what's in your head. You know what's in your head. You look at that little box for fears. You don't get to turn the paper over and write them all. Read that. Best thing that could happen in your fears. You got 1 minute. I know it's already in your head. Thirty more seconds.
He's the other vocational teacher. That's Brian.
Okay, let's share a little bit. So what's the best thing that can happen? Let's go around the room and tell me what you are. Best thing that can happen.
I gotta go first all this.
I'm gonna go first. Okay, you go first.
No, I'm kidding.
You have an advantage because
I'm
you're
kidding.
and everybody will think I have you.
So I think for greens and golds, fitting in socially and having friends.
We're not gonna do the danger challenge. That's good. Friends and fitting in.
Okay, we're just doing dreams.
Just
and
dreams
goals.
and goals.
Have him find something that makes him happy and turn it into a.
So we want him to have a career and we want him to be happy in whatever he chooses to do. Okay. He's cheating. He's taking our time.
Break down all the good answers.
Pick one.
You can write all the things you wrote on your.
So a loving mate and friends, rewarding vocation, independent living, and
Drive. You want him to drive. Okay, so a job, independent, social life, friends, and driving.
We want him to be independent,
Independent.
and we want him to understand the social emotions.
How about you? What'd you write? Best thing that can happen for your brother. Be independent. Okay. Okay, let's talk about our fears. What are we afraid of?
We don't want him to get into trouble with his behavior.
Stay out of trouble because of his behavior. I want that problem of yours. Okay, stay out of trouble. What are you afraid of for your brother?
My biggest
Start with you
fear,
because he's the
Okay. My biggest fear is I don't know how to help him do that.
Okay, so you want him to be happy and everything else,
Right.
but you don't know how to do it. Okay, it's fair.
I don't know how to expose him to different things that he might like.
You can help with that.
I'm afraid he'd have a conflict with the police or with a stranger that could result in getting beaten up or worse.
I'll bring up something with you then.
that she fears putting herself out there, participating in life, and she isolates, lives with her parents, and never realizes actual life.
I want to remember to bring up one point about police. So I don't know if you know it, but the police have a program, and it's a required program, that if you have a child that could be in trouble or getting in trouble and call to your house or someplace, you can register your child with the police. A friend of mine is a police sergeant, and she has taught me that really well, and it's her job is to make sure families are registered, and the police department, which is here by law, the police department knows what to do. So it's really important if you ever think your child's at risk, and police could be called that they are registered, so that your house or they are in the system, so they're listening.
One of my best girlfriends, her daughter, special needs, who's 27, and the police actually have a team that come over and they help counsel her. And they know to come over, know the situation.
Yeah, but that only helps in that little microcosm of your local environment.
No, I think it's spread throughout many departments and further cities if you need. That wouldn't be in another city here in California.
No, I'm talking about, like a confrontation on the street, where
I told this person, she's a sergeant, and she just got very ill, and she needs some surgery, and she's going to have to retire sooner than she thought. And I said, you could have a career. She's so done so much of this. You could have a career counseling parents, groups, and give classes on what do you do, because she's faced with it. I mean, she's in the town of Arlington Heights, and the people that are mentally ill on the street is also for charge, and they're written really bad things about her all the time because she has to do some tough duty. She's really, really good at it. So if you ever need a speaker to come to your group, let me know.
That's a great idea, actually.
She can come and talk. She's really, just saw her Saturday because I was counseling her to do what she's. I said, you're so good at this. Retire. She's going to retire in a month, and then do this. That'd be a great thing.
Yes,
Yeah, all of that.
I know one of the things that we told families is to think about is even doing the medical response, so if nothing else, having their disability there that can just help, because most first responders are taught to look for something.
and there's a special Illinois ID card too.
Make sure. Okay, so let's go back to your answers. I'm gonna we're playing Family Feud. What do you think the number one answer is? By groups, because they do hundreds of these. What's the number one answer? Two answers I get about what people want.
Independent.
Independence is the one. What's the other one? Happy. So it was in your answers, happy and independent. What's the biggest fear? You didn't hear it. The biggest fear, number one fear, is abuse. Being taken advantage of. It's a fear. Okay, so what do you do with that? What do you do with those things? One, those are your benchmarks. You said what you want. So now, going forward from today, every time you make a decision about where your child should work, who are their friends, what kind of classes should they be in, what kind of job should they have, all of those things, use this filter. Now, through the class, through today, you're going to learn how to refine the filter a little bit. But you know what success looks like. You want them to be happy, you want them to have jobs, you want them to have friends, right? So, the thing you're doing is you're going to go in that direction. And also, is it keeping them from doing the things you're afraid of? Now, so I'm doing a project that we're working on for a couple of years with families, with 60 families in Sycamore. They want to create a housing project. So I'm taking them through a process. We're in year 2. But we've started to design what it looks like. Is it going to be country? Is it going to be city? What's, all the different things they want. And everybody was all over the place. We're getting fine-tuned. As we get it fine-tuned, they brought in some investors, money people, who might fund this and get involved. So I had the family say what they wanted. And they just went around, see like we did. What do you want? And their answers were happy and independent. It's like the typical answers. And you know what the investor's response was then? I don't know how to measure that. I don't know how to measure happy. I don't know how to measure independent. So my answers to your questions are, you have to, if you really want to be successful in planning for your child, you must go deeper. You must go deeper. You never get to use these loosey words of happy. What does happy mean? Okay? If you said, I want a job that makes me happy, what do I have to do? What do I have the responsibility to do? I got to figure it out. I can't just say, oh, I want this job that's going to make me happy. What is it about the job that is not just my skill set and my interests? It's not just work. So when we're thinking about that, when we start thinking about the next level of planning, which is step 2, this is the hard one, but I'm going to first give you some lessons that you have to know before you start planning for your child. How many think your child's going to be financially independent? How many think your child will be, okay? How many think your child will be socially independent and be able to make wise decisions? So who's going to help them the rest of their lives?
You're all looking at me for like 1/6 to drop them off at your house.
That's not funny. I had a man come to my office. He was 94. He heard me speak, and he came in. He was 94, and he brought in his 70-year-old son. And he said, "I heard what you do. I'm leaving my son here." I wasn't quite what I meant. Okay, that was usually rats. Rats. That's what he said. Rats, you don't do that. Okay, if it's gonna be you, you have to be smarter than the average person. You have to know the rules. You have to know how to stand up to Social Security when they tell you something, because they don't know squat a lot of times. Everybody here works Social Security. Be careful. And when you do a financial plan, have any here ever done a financial plan for themselves? Okay. You married?
I'm widowed.
If you are responsible for your nephew, how many people do you have to have in your financial plan?
Well, that financial plan is for me, not for
Okay.
him.
So I have 3 boys, one with a disability. I'm single. How many people have to be in do I have to financially prepare for in my financial plan? 2 are on their feet, 1 is not. How many people I have to financially account for the rest of my life?
4.
4. 2 of them are kind of disabled, 1 is very disabled. I have to financially make sure I'm secure enough to support all 4 of us. When I die, is my financial plan over? No, my financial plan is gonna go beyond me until they are all dead.
How do you do that?
You just do. Okay. I have a lady in Utah I'm working with. She has 5 children, all disabled. Her husband walked away. And I looked at her financial plan that her financial advisor had done when she was married. It was for 2. It should have been for 7, and now hers should be for 6. Because that's what we have to do. If you go to a financial advisor and they say, I'm gonna help you with a financial plan, they never ask the question. And they just do it for a couple. So, number 1, you have to make sure you're okay. Because you are gonna be it. You're the one, your money is gonna support them for the rest of their lives. With government money, if we do it right, but you still have to plan that way. You can't run out. In retirement, people come to me, but what happens is you get older and you retire, if you don't think about it. Then you're older and you wanna go on a trip and you go, well, you better invest that 401k money because that's gotta go to the children. That's gotta go to my place. When I retire, I wanna spend it. I wanna have a retirement, but I also wanna be smart enough to make sure I have something left. So not only do you have to worry about when you retire, but you have to worry about all the stuff you have to do. If you don't have kids and you die, who cares? Except for everybody to be sad. But if you don't have children and you're single and you die, so be it. But if I'm single and I die, my 2 boys might be okay, but my middle guy won't. I gotta think about that. I gotta think if I become disabled, what happens? Because I'm not only just worried about me, I'm worried about other people. Okay, fair? All right. So rule 1, make sure you're okay. Make sure you understand your disability. Make sure you understand what Social Security is gonna do for you. Make sure what kind of your benefits, how they work. Make sure you have saved enough. Make sure it's enough. And in your retirement plan, there's a line item called My Children. So most people's cash flow. So when you're doing a financial plan, you build a cash flow. You say, what's coming in and what's going out? That's the basics of a financial plan. You better know what you spend and you better know what you earn, right? And so when you do a retirement plan, you take that and you extrapolate what it's gonna look like when you retire. So while I'm working, I'm putting money into Social Security, I'm putting money into 401k, and I'm paying my mortgage. But when I retire, in all likelihood, I can make my mortgage pay off. I want to spend that. And I'm not saving anymore, but what am I spending the money on? Well, I'm hoping to spend it on some travel and fun. I'm spending, and as I get older, what else am I spending it on? Caregivers, right? For yourself. So this continuum thing you have to think about. Now, people say, so all you're doing for your child, when you're thinking about your child, you're thinking about what's the money I have to leave for him? How much do I have to have while I'm retired? When I'm retired, how much do I have to keep spending on him? Because I have to include that in my budget. And when I die, how much should I leave behind? And this is where people go, how am I supposed to do that? I'm the foggiest of what his future looks like. I'm the foggiest. Anybody know what their child's future is going to look like at this point? Of course not. I don't know what my other kids' future is going to look like, and they're going to work it. So let me give you how you think about this. Because what we're really doing is we're doing your retirement plan and we're doing your child's retirement plan. Because retirement planning isn't about money. Retirement planning is about what's next. You got to know what's next, right? So if a 20-year-old couple comes into my office and says, help us, mom and dad sent us here, they want us to do a retirement plan. They're 20. What do they say when I say, well, tell me about you? And they tell me what they do. And then I ask them questions. I ask them questions like, well, you rent? Yeah, how much is your rent? How much you spend on utilities? How much you spend at Starbucks? How much you spend on Redbox? How much you spend on social media? What do you spend on concerts? And they're looking at me like, what? That's not your business. Yeah, it is. You want to do a retirement plan. Well, no, we're going to retire when we're 50. That's what they say. So I ask them that, and then I ask them, when do you want to retire? If they're 20, they say 50. Or the older, we know better. But they say 50. And I say, okay, what's that going to look like? Well, we want our house paid off. We're going to buy a house. We want it paid off. And we want a second house in a warmer climate. We want that paid off. And we're going to travel around the world once every 10 years. And we're going to travel around the United States the other 9 years. And my husband's going to golf and I'm going to shop. That's how we say it. That's our view. Okay? Now they're not 20 anymore. They come in and they do, I tell them, hey, if you want that, you gotta save this much. Then they come in and they're 40
And I say, how's it going? And they will say, well, you know, it's a little different. We have a house, we have a mortgage, we have 3 kids. Does their picture look different? So we go through their budget and they have clothes for the kids and stuff for the kids. And then I ask them, what's retirement look like? They say, well, we think 65. No, not 50. It's not 50, it's gonna be 65. When they come in when they're 65, I say, how's it going? Well, we have a big mortgage because we have to pay for all the college. And the only place we're probably gonna ever go on vacation is the Dells. And we haven't quit working yet, we're still working. When they come in and they're 70, they're getting their Social Security checks. They still have little part-time jobs. They sold their house and live in a trailer. No. I went from here to here, right? It could have been the other way. They didn't know kids, they thought they had kids. It could be it. When they started when they were 20, what did they know about their retirement? In reality, what did they know? Nothing, right? We don't know about our future. What were they doing when they told me that? They were dreaming. They were picking up what they want. So when I ask people questions about what's the future of your child gonna look like, kids are 13, 21, 18. What do you know? You know nothing more about them than you know about your future. You don't know what your health is gonna be. You don't know what your next job is gonna be. You don't know if your employer is gonna let you go tomorrow, or you don't know if you're gonna win the lotto, right? So when we plan, the plan is only as good as the plan we make today, but it's better than no plan. Fair? Okay. So, plan for you, and now we'll talk about your child. But the very first thing before planning for your child is do your plan. You have to have your own, and this is not a financial planning session, but you have to have your own. You better know what your disability is at work, and that you won't get both that and Social Security to coordinate. You better know how much life insurance work gives you and how much other life insurance you have. You should know how to fund your 401k, and can you also fund an IRA? And how much is it? And should you put all of your money in a 401k or not? All those things are part of your plan. And then you calculate out and say, if I really want to retire at 67, how big is the pot? And every year you say, did I get there? Am I there yet? I have a friend who I manage her money, and every year I tell me, am I a millionaire yet? You gotta have a goal, and you gotta keep measuring it. Just like you can measure careers and everything else. All right, that's it. So when we're building this vision for our child, we know very little, but every year you do something towards the goal, you get closer. So I have a client who came in recently, and they've been working with me for 27 years. They have 3 children. A son who's a top high-level attorney, a daughter who's a surgeon, and their daughter with special needs who's now working in a pediatric hospital, helping out the nurses and the doctors. And they said, we only came in for one reason. I said, oh, did something go wrong? No, we just wanted to tell you that we have the 3 children. We think our child with special needs is our most successful child. That's what we want. It's not about measuring them against the other kids. It's about what they can do, and how can we make them happy, and how can we keep them safe. And happiness for your child, when I talk about figuring it out, this is the work we have to do. We have to say, where do we want them to live? Can they live alone? Is it a group home? Are we going to create our own group home, or are we going to try to get into a SILA? Are they going to live with family? Okay. What's their medical needs? Are we going to have someone always monitoring medical needs? Are we always going to be watching medical advances? Or is it not something that needs that much medical attention? People sometimes forget about recreation in the planning. They forget. A lot of you brought up friends, which I like, because sometimes I go around this and nobody ever says anything about friends or marriage or all those things that come around in life. And that's just as important as everything else, because happiness comes with doing what we love. But so does a job. The one thing I find about jobs is I have to figure out what makes that person tick, right? Then I have people who work for me. I had a guy who was a financial advisor, and he wasn't great. He never was like, and the people who are great working for me, who are their financial people, are like, look what I found out, I figured this out, and they're so excited about finding a solution. He was just doing his job. I said to him, you don't like this much, do you? He said, no. I said, what do you want to do? I want to be a pastry chef. He's now a pastry chef in a pretty fancy restaurant. And he stays in touch with me. And he's got this huge smile on his face. And he's got me showing these pastries. He came to the office with pastries one day. I said, you never smile like that when you were crunching numbers. That's when I find I always ask people about their children. I had this one client who came in and their son, I said, what's your son love to do? He said, on his free time, he goes into the police department and hangs out. I got him a job at a police department. I went to the police departments. I talked to different police departments. I found one that the chief of police had a son with autism. He got it. I said, do you have a job around here that you can do? Yeah. Oh, you gotta pay him. He's not free. Okay. He works there. You know how happy he is? He's hanging around where he loves the most. Okay? He gets to ride in his squad car sometimes even. So we gotta find what they love. And then they're not gonna be unhappy going to work. Okay, we gotta find what their uniqueness is. We do that with all our kids, right? Okay. So we gotta give them the education that's pertinent to that. I had a lady came in and her daughter's working at a senior facility and she was doing some stuff, but she really liked serving. So they put her on the serving thing and now she's 22, so they let her work the happy hour. Happy hour there is from 3 to 5 at the senior place. She gets to serve liquor to these people and they're like, they don't want anybody else to do it but her. She's walking around filling their glasses with wine. And she loves serving seniors. And then, she was doing other stuff, but when she got the senior world, wow, she's happy. And so I found out she wasn't paid. She was volunteering. So I went there and I said, she's working here, guys. Give her some pay. So they did. This guy asked. Okay. All right. So where are they going to live? Where are they going to work? What kind of schooling do they need to get that? There are so many programs out there that didn't exist 30 years ago. The colleges, the junior colleges, the University of Iowa, University of Illinois. Every school has a program. There's a family I'm working with in Ohio, and their daughter just loves horticulture. So we got her into a college in Wisconsin. She loves it.
Yeah.
All right. So we build this plan, and then we say what? We know what we want for them. Just like you were doing your retirement plan, we build what you want your life to look like, and then what do we have to do? We have to put numbers to it, right? And we have to say, where's the money going to come from? Well, it's going to come from benefits, we hope, and savings that you put away, and insurance, and family members, and their work. That's where all the places money are going to come from for all of us. So then we have to do this horrible task. How many has ever built a budget for cash flow? You do it for yourself. You have to do it for your child. So on your page 2, on your thing number 2, there's a box like this. Check the age that belongs to your child. Working off the big green and okay. Check the box that pertains to your child's age. Okay. How many boxes do you count? So how many checked this box right here? Well, let's say this one, 4 to 18. Okay. Nobody could check this one yet, because that means you're dead. Life without you means you're gone. Okay. Oops, we're gonna have wrong way. Can't touch this, it's sensitive. Okay, so if you check that box, I need you to check every box under the box you checked. So if you check box number 2, you should have 4 boxes checked. Why do you have to do that? I'm telling you how many budgets you have to create. These are the stages of your child's life. Who are they living with now when they're in school? You. So their budget looks pretty, it's just their extra expenditures, right? In transition, they might be doing some work. So now there's some other expenses, like maybe getting them to work. Their budget looks a little different when they're in transition age. When they're in adulthood, we make an assumption when we plan that they're out of the house. All my kids don't live with me anymore. They all live independently. I might be helping a lot, but they're living independently and they're learning budgets, they're learning financial independence, they're learning how to take care of themselves. If they have dirty clothes on, it's their fault. They have to learn some of those skills, right? So this budget is going to look different. Yeah, because they're going to have what? Rent, utilities, Uber. Okay. My son doesn't drive, he's blind. But he's got to have a big Uber account, or Lyft, or whatever he uses, right? And then what happens in this stage? So I'm going to talk about my son. So here's my son. He's living in a Section 8 housing. He gets a disability check. It covers part of his rent, and it covers his food. Doesn't cover a lot. So who's paying for the rest? Mom, right? And who's his transportation most of the time? Me or his brothers? when I die, what has to get replaced?
Everything.
Everything I do, right? So that's what's a different stage. His budget looks different when he's this old. So if I'm going through and saying, what's his income? What's coming in from the government? What's coming in from me? What's coming in from his work? And what's going on to all these different things? If I say he's getting $12,000 a year in benefits, but his bills are $52,000, how much is he short every year?
40,000.
Where's that coming from?
Hopefully from you. Hopefully you did good planning.
Right, because I have to do that. If it's that stage and he needs 40,000 a year, and I die when I'm 85 and he's still at 20 years to go, 20 years times that much money is a lot. Put inflation on it and everything else, it's a big number. Now, if anybody's ever calculated what it costs to live for yourself, it's a big number. Don't let the big numbers scare you. Okay, right. This is stage 2. If you want to try to do this, we have an entire computer system on the website where you build a budget and you put it in, you put the budgets for all the different age categories. And it'll come on how much, it'll tell you how much you need to, how much you're going to spend while you're retired and how much you're going to spend after you die on your job.
When you ask like now whether he's going to be financially independent, I said yes. Not because like I have big money, but I'm sure that he's going to make a lot of money.
Okay,
Okay?
good. That's
But-
the best optimum.
But how is there any process or any program where like no he can handle money or safeguard his money or we can help him to safeguard his money
Safeguarded from who?
after 21? Like no, I know like no, we cannot have control on his money after 21, but is there any program or any special needs situation where we can have control of his
I'm
money?
going to show you that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So now we know it's going to take money. So we know kind of what we want and what we don't want, because that was step 1. Okay, we set the parameters. And step 2, we kind of defined it first pass. First pass. Okay, when you ever do any kind of planning for yourself or somebody else, it is under constant revision. Because you always know more. So you build it on what you know today. And then next year, he surprises you, or she surprises you, what they can do. You revise it. Then the next year you find, oops, they really can't live alone. Let's revise it, right? You keep revising it every year, and you have a different view of it, right? So now let's talk about what can we count on from the government to help fill that bucket that we need. Because if the government's going to give you money, we don't want to do something that will make them say no. Is anybody here getting benefits? Yeah. Some of you have your children over 18, but they're not getting it yet. How come? You just not applied yet?
Right.
Okay. All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about how it works. This is my circle. And when I talk about things in the top boxes, those are things I'm going to talk about that are entitlements. We get them because we're entitled to them. Okay? Get them because we're entitled to them. We bought them. When I talk about things that are in these boxes, we get them because we need them. We bought them. We didn't buy them when we need them. Okay? When I talk about things in these boxes, it's going to be real money. When I talk about things in these boxes, it's going to pay for healthcare and workshops, job coaches, and residential programs. Okay? I'm going to take one box at a time. Start up here. I'm going to talk about SSDI. SSDI we get because we worked. How many have a paycheck here? How many see a little line on it called FICA? That's Social Security. They're taking money out so that we can get Social Security disability if we become disabled. That's what we're getting. So homework, one big piece of homework, if you haven't done it yet, is go to the Social Security website and open an account. www.socialsecurity.com or .gov. Okay, you can type in socsec.gov. You put in your Social Security number, you can create a password, and you're in. Okay, it's going to tell you everything you're going to need to know for this and everything you're going to need to know to plan for your child. So it's going to tell you what? On this category, it's going to tell you based upon how much work you have paid or worked, how much you are eligible to get if you become disabled. It's going to tell you that, how much disability you will get. You have to have 20 current quarters of work. Everybody pretty much looks old enough here to have probably 20 current quarters of work. You have to have those 20 quarters in order to get it. It will say, this is how much you get. What classifies you as disabled? An income rule. The income rule says, if you cannot make $1,220 a month, you are disabled if you can't do a job because of your disability, not because of job market status. Not because I've got a job and there's no jobs. If the doctor says I have a disability that will stop me from making $1,220 a month, I'm considered disabled. That's the rule for this year. Changes. Okay. So how do I have to prove it? If I'm disabled, I've got to go to Social Security and say, do I have 20 current quarters? And if I'm disabled, how much would I get? And I have to prove my doctor has to say, yes, you're disabled, and Social Security has to believe my doctor, and if they do, they will give me my check. That's how Social Security disability works. Okay? And if you have a disability at work, you'll usually get this first, sometimes not, and you get yourself, but they coordinate. You won't get both. The disability at work will be reduced if you get Social Security disability too. Just know that when you're doing your own planning, you don't get both. Unless you have gone out and bought a private disability plan. Okay? Right. So that's the rule for this the bucket right here. That if you have income limitations because of your disability, you'll get this check. And it depends how long you've worked and how much you paid in, how much you get. Okay? Everybody's different. You should know that because if you're going to do your own plan, that's a piece that you need. If you go to a financial planner, they're going to only see your Social Security record to make sure you have disability coverage. Okay? All right. And 2 years after I get that, because if you get disabled and you lose your job and you can't work anymore, what else goes with it? Your health insurance, right? So 2 years after you get this, you'll go on Medicare. You don't have to be 65. If you become disabled, Medicare goes with this, and most doctors take Medicare. Clear? All right. So what does this have to do with your child? Has your child paid in to get this?
No.
No. Okay. Another program for your child. Needs-based. The rules are about how much your child could earn and how much your child has. Different rules. Income rule and asset rule. The income rule is we have to be able to prove your child has a disability to stop them from making how much a month? The same as the other one.
$1,200.
$1,220. Okay? They make it more than $1,220, so Security's going to say, nope, not disabled. If they think they can work. So what are they going to use to determine that? They're going to look at the IEPs. They're going to look at your medical history, your child's medical history. They're going to look at social workers from school and what they write. And they'll look at all the doctors, any doctors they've seen. Okay, they're going to look at all of that, and they're going to make a determination what the doctor says. There's something in that record that I see that somebody said, oh, yeah, they're going to be great at this. I'm going to go back to that person and go, really? You need to write a new report. Okay? They need medical history. If you have a child's been saying not seeing the doctor, you better start. They have to have medical history to get this benefit. Okay? So first we have to prove that they have an income limitation. They're not working. They're still at 18. What age? They're still in school. Can you apply for this benefit before they're 18? Yes. But the problem is the rules apply to you, not your child. So if you try to get SSI for your child when they're 16, they're going to ask you how much you make, and your child will be kicked out of the program. Okay? So I'm not going to talk about that program because everybody's income's different. I'm going to assume we're talking about when they're 18. When they're 18, mom and dad's assets do not count. They can't ask you about them, and you don't have to answer about them. Okay? Do we have to prove first that your child's 18, and you cannot apply for SSI until the month after their 18th birthday? Why? So my sister's birthday was April 23rd. When is she eligible for SSI? On her own record, on May 1. Because sometime in April she was 17, and so they're going to ask me about my assets. I don't want them to ask me about my assets, I have to wait till May 1st. So whenever your child turns 18, the month after that month, they can apply for SSI. So what do? We call Social Security and say, I'm applying for SSI for my child. I know I have medical records, I've gotten ready, they're still going to ask the doctor directly for them. So you got to prepare all these people to say, if you're going to get something from Social Security, they're going to need your records. And most of them know how to fill them out, but I see all kinds of stuff. Sometimes they have social workers or transition coordinators from school fill them out. I read them first and say, could you add a little paragraph here? Okay, you know how to fill them out. So you got to determine the disability, and then they have to determine if your child's poor. Because it's a needy system, not an entitled system, SSI. So what do you have to do to get that? These are the things they can have. They can own a house, they can have a car, they can have a prepaid funeral, they can have $2,000, and they can have an ABLE account. Okay? House. I wouldn't have them own a house. Why? Because if you bought them a house and they can't live in it, you sell it, it probably turns into more than $2,000. Okay? Car. They can only own a car if they can drive. If you can't drive, you can't buy them a Mercedes and put it in their name. Okay? Prepaid funeral. If you had money in their name and it's too much, you could sue someone to prepay their funeral. Legitimate asset they can have. And $2,000. What counts in the $2,000? Everything that has their name and social security number on it. Checking account, savings account, stocks, bonds, guardianship accounts, UTMA accounts, everything. The only things that don't count is a 529, because it's not theirs. It's for college if you started one. And an ABLE. An ABLE account. Does everybody know what an ABLE is? I'm going to talk about it in a little while. ABLE's account is a new way you can save for your child. It's tax-free. It's like a 529, but it's not for college. It's for special needs. I'm going to tell you the rules.
Is there such thing as a special needs account that you can set up
Yeah, that's
for
it.
Sean? That's able.
Yeah, but I'm going to have a couple screen slides.
I got you. Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, how do I, yes,
If the child, if the person has a driver's license, is that sufficient evidence that they can drive and
No.
have a car?
oh yeah, they have a driver's license, they can drive, if you trust them to have a car,
Okay,
and they drive. If they have a driver's license and you feel they can drive, they can own a car.
with the Social Security Administration, would I be breaking rules if I sold my son my car?
No.
So that would be one way
Does he
to.
have money? Oh, yeah, yeah, and he has money,
Uh-huh.
and he gets, yes, he can buy a car from you as long as he's gonna drive it. Now, the question is, he can drive, how high functioning is he?
I don't know, it's hard to say, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's gotta be a better driver than my daughter who just backed into someone's
Yeah.
car.
Okay.
So.
I mean, are you putting anybody at risk or not? That's the question. All of our kids are at risk. I mean, everybody's at risk but myself.
Yeah,
My son always tells me I'm driving something. He's fine.
well, I can't beat him on the Atari games, you know, the driving games. He
It's
just-
about not what he
Yeah,
does.
that's right.
It's about the other people around him, right?
Right,
All
right.
So, house, car, prepaid funeral, $2,000 able. If they have more than that, do not apply. So the first thing they do when you call and you get an appointment, you put all the data in the computer after their 18th birthday, and you put all the data in the computer, and then they will call you and answer questions. You can go to the Social Security office you want, but I wouldn't. Do it by phone, do it by email. If your email are nasty, you can hang up. It's hard to walk out of the office. It depends which office you go to. So the smaller the town, the nicer the people. The bigger the town, the nastier the people. I know which ones to not talk to. We do it. We have people who do this all day. We know if we get so-and-so, we're gonna say, okay, I'm sick, I can't do it right now. Most of the time when you're doing the interview, you're gonna get somebody on an 800 number, and you're gonna answer the question. So what are they asking you? You already saw what you entered. You entered the doctors and stuff, they're gonna ask you about that. They're gonna ask you about the assets you put in. Oh, they have no money. They have money, they're gonna start prying. If you have a checking account with $2,000 in it, and that's what they have, they know that you probably had more and you took some out. Don't have a checking account with more than $1,200. Because if it's $2,000 and it earns a penny, you're over $2,000. Right? Okay. So we tell them all the stuff that they've got. So we've explained what their limitations are. It is hard for a parent to do. If you get to the point you're going to do this, you go on our website and we have tutorials and slides, and it tells you exactly what to say and how to do it. And I think we charge $3.99 to text for that. Okay, it's like peanuts. We just like people to pay for it so that they're taking it seriously. Okay, all right. So you answer all those questions. And then it goes to Springfield, and Springfield determines if they really are disabled, and then it goes to the local office, and they look at the number stuff, and if you match all the number stuff, you think you're sliding good. Looks like you're gonna get 771. Then they ask you a few more questions on that interview, okay? They're gonna ask you a few more questions on the interview. Now, one of the questions they're gonna ask you is, where's your child live? What's the answer? They're 18, they're in school.
That's in the backyard.
They don't live with you, because if you say they're living in my house, that is in-kind income, and income, they're earning money in any way, their benefit gets reduced. So if you say they live with you, you're going to give them $435 and not $771. So how do you answer the question right? They live in a separate household in my home and they pay me room and board. Done. Okay, separate household in my room and in my house and they pay me room and board. They're paying you. Well, they don't have any money. That's right. When you get their check, they're gonna pay you. That works. Okay. How much? They're gonna pay you $300 a month. Nobody would ever give you their whole check, right? You can't say $771. You can say $300, or if you live in a fancy place, $400. Okay. So let's say you tell them $300. It's okay. We're gonna send you a rental agreement. You have to sign it. Your child signs it that you got a rental agreement. You do it. So now they have all the information they need. They process it. They call you up. You get a letter. Yep, you're approved. Doesn't have a part that easy, but you get your approved. They call you. You're going to be the representative payee. You're the one that manage the account. You sign the papers that your son or daughter has signed a piece of paper. This gives you permission to do that for them. And then you're going to open up a bank account as a SSI account, and they're going to start depositing $771 a month. Now, what happens? You could pay from the date of application. It might take 4 or 5 months to get approved. Depends on the disability. So let's say it takes 3 months to get approved. They're going to put 3 times 771 in the account. The account has to stay below 2,000. Remember, all times. What's the first thing you do when they get the 771 times 3 in the account? You're over. What should you do?
You take it out.
Get it out of there.
What did you say you're charging?
$300 a month.
Right, room and board, you gotta take it. So you get 3 months, you take $900 out.
Yep.
And then you use it for them. Do not feel guilty. It's their money to be used for their basic support. Okay, you spend it on them and that go over $2,000.
But what happens in that interim after you're over already when they deposit?
You take it out right away.
Yeah.
They're not gonna ask you for the check every after the account. They're gonna ask for it. They do redeterminations every 1 year and 3 years. They do a medical redetermination every couple of years, and they do a financial redetermination. That means they're gonna come back and ask for it again. They ask my son every 3 years if he's still blind.
Yeah.
I have to get medical.
But do they go back and check the monthly balances to see if?
They ask for a certain period of time. They'll know if it just came in and then money goes out right away. Don't let the account get that high, you know? Spend it. Keep it at $300-400 and the money comes in, you won't be over.
Okay, well, I mean, that was if they're being picky, her point is the moment you deposit that check, you're suddenly.
No, if they're depositing,
out
they're
of
typically
line.
going to deposit $771 and you're gonna take the 300. If you get a big check because you got a back pay, you got 6 months to bring it down.
Okay,
So what other things can you take out of that Social Security money?
Anything that's considered basic support. So their food, their meals, and then if they spend all it on, they can still use it on a vacation if it builds up.
So in addition to room and board of $300, you can charge
Their
them for
cell
eating
phone?
at home?
Cell phone, they have a cell phone, they need stuff, you can use it for that.
Can you take additional food that they're eating at home
Yes.
above and
Yeah, to
beyond
yourself.
300?
Yeah. Whatever, it's room and board. You can say if it's for them, let's say they have a doctor bill. Okay, now do you have to keep track of that? I'd say yes, put it in a computer, keep a nice record, because once a year they will ask. Now, they don't do it anymore. They used to ask you once a year how you spent it. If you're the parent, they stopped asking. But you never know when they're gonna ask again, so I say keep a good record. Okay, now what else should you know about all that? It used to be that if you were getting the full amount, you couldn't take your child as a dependent on your tax return. However, I don't have to talk about that anymore. Why? Because there are no more exemptions on your tax return. So you don't have to worry about not taking it because they took that away from us. If you didn't do your taxes, you'll find out. Remember, you used to get an exemption for you and the children? That went away. No more exemptions. Mhm.
I
Yes.
didn't know that.
Yeah, no more exemptions this year. Okay. You got rent. Do you have to claim that as income? Yes, you do. So you do a Schedule E that says I got 300 times 12 in rent, and then you say some of my interest on my mortgage that goes against it, and some of my real estate tax goes against it. You're not going to take it on yours. You're going to take it on that. Still counts as zero. You're not going to pay more tax. Okay. Important details. All right. Your child gets SSI. In Illinois, once they get their SSI, then they can get Medicaid. You send in a proof of their SSI and you send in their original birth certificate. So get an original birth certificate. You send them in and then they will send you a Medicaid card. Okay, you already proven they're disabled. You've already proven they got SSI, so they don't have too much money. They're gonna get a Medicaid card. What does a Medicaid card do for you? It pays health insurance bills, it pays the doctor, it pays the hospital, it pays the job coach, it pays residential. Let's talk about the health part. How many have your child on your health insurance? How long can your child stay on your health insurance plan?
26.
26 under Obamacare. Okay, but there's a statute in the state of Illinois. If you work for an Illinois company and the company is not self-funding their health insurance, the company must allow you to have your child on your health insurance as long as you have it. Okay?
They have to be based in Illinois.
The company has to be domiciled in Illinois. Okay, so Walgreens is domiciled in Illinois. You could work in Florida in a Walgreens and it close. Now, if your company's not in Illinois, you find out what state and you look at that state rules. If you don't know, you call me or you ask my staff to send you the law for your state. Almost all states have a rule like this.
What is self-funded?
Hmm?
What is
If
self?
your company is self-funded, what does that mean? The company, Abbott Laboratories is a really big company. And so they have a lot of employees and they self-fund, which means they go and they pay, if you had a claim, they will pay it up to a certain amount and they insure the over. So they might be claiming all your claims, the company might be paying your claims, not the insurance company, up until $10,000. After $10,000, they have to have it insured. That's called self-insurance.
Oh.
So the company must cover your child if they're not self-insured. If they're self-insured, they get to choose. So if I look at Walgreens insures, okay, they're self-insured, but they still cover. And everybody who works at Walgreens, no matter where you live, gets to be covered. Boeing is self-insured and they cover. Abbott is self-insured and they don't. I'm a small company. I'm not self-insured. I have a health insurance plan and all my employees and all their children get to stay on my plan. Okay, all their disabled children. The other kids don't.
Oh, disabled children. This is for only for disabled children.
For children with disabilities.
Wow.
Right, the two boys that are not. They're not considered disabled. They don't have issues.
Okay.
They're not considered disabled, so they can't be on. Okay? All right. So your child's on your health insurance plan. Do you need Medicaid? Well, first of all, Medicaid is really important because it gets, when they're out of school and you want to get them into programs, how many kids are on the PUNS list? If you get pulled on the PUNS list for funding, you won't get it unless you have Medicaid. They'll say, where's your Medicaid card? So you have to get it. 2, if you have a drug plan and you turn the drug plan to Walgreens and your drug plan has a $35 copay, but Medicaid's copay for that drug is $5, you'll pay up. So always when you go to the hospital or a doctor, give them both cards. Okay, always give them both. Medicaid will be secondary, but you never know what it'll pay. Okay, important program. All right.
And they're eligible for Medicaid just based on low income.
You got
special needs,
SSI, same
combination.
rules.
Uh-huh.
Same rules.
Yeah.
So once you got this, they know that you got it and you get the card. Okay, all right. So a couple things I want to tell you about what happens as this is part of your planning when you're planning for your child. Okay. I'm going to pretend this is mine. This says when I hit 67, now you get a Social Security. I want you to get your Social Security things because it tells you what are you going to get for Social Security when you're 62, what are you going to get when you're full retirement, and how much you're going to get when you're 70. And all the rules that you read about in the web about when to take your Social Security doesn't apply to us if we have a child with disability. And I'll tell you why. This is, let's say this is mine. Let's pretend I'm married. Okay, so let's say this is mine, and it says when I'm 67, I'll get $2,600 a month. Okay. It also says that I have a minor child or an adult disabled child. They can get up to $1,800 on my record. It's really important. Just look at that number on yours. And then it says the most I pay my family is $4,400 a month on my record. They're going to give me $2,600, but they can give some people in my family up to $4,400 with mine. So let's watch how it works. Let's say my child turns 18 and he gets his $771 a month out of that pocket. Okay, getting $771. I go to Social Security and I retire. And I say, Social Security, give me my money. How much are they going to give me? I'm 67. What did my record say?
27.
$2,600 a month. Okay. My spouse, let's say, never worked. How much can my spouse get on my record? Half. Okay. So they're either going to get your own or half of your spouse's, whichever is more. So if my spouse had no record, he would get half of my full retirement amount, which is $2,600. Now, if I wait till 70, he'll never get half of that. He'll only get half of my full retirement age, which is 67, 66, 67, depending on your age. He would get 1,300. So how much are they paying on my record now? 2,600 plus 13. Okay, the 39, okay. So how much is left? So out of Social Security, there's some money left, okay? I think the total, I don't know if the total's up if we change some numbers. But, so they're gonna give my son 500 from this bucket, based upon when I apply. And where's that coming from? From my plan, my Social Security. He moves into this bucket. So what they do with this SSI, if they give him 500 on my plan, they lowered it. So before he was getting 771, and now he's getting 771, which is more. This is more. Why is that better? Because SSI goes with Medicaid. Medicaid, hospitals like doctors don't. Specialists don't take it. 2 years after he goes into this program, because I retired. So, always Medicare happens 2 years after you start your Social Security. Or a disabled person, okay? So, clients come to me and say, I'm really confused. I don't know how this works. So we're doing a seminar. If you really are interested, we're doing a workshop on April 10th, only about this. And it's mostly for people who are thinking about retiring, okay? Because they're so confused. This is what would happen. Somebody comes in and says, my husband's going to retire in a couple of years. We got to think about this because what's going to happen when he retires to the child's health insurance? That's when it goes away. So the child's getting good health insurance, and they're getting Medicaid, and they're not getting Medicare yet because they haven't worked enough to have their own record. And so they're getting this benefit right here. And the parents want them up here so they can get in here. So we have to think about when is dad, let's say dad's got the coverage. When is dad going to retire? He's going to retire in 2022. So in 2022, the child's health insurance is going to go away. I have to back up 2 years and say, I want him on a waiting list for that 2 years, start 2 years before. So I want somebody to retire for their Social Security 2 years before dad quits. So I look at mom's Social Security. If mom's is lower, or whichever is lower, I'm going to make an assumption mom's is lower. I'm going to have mom apply for Social Security at age 62 or 63. She gets in the record. She takes a smaller amount. It's okay, because then once I get one parent in here, the child goes up. When the child goes up, then they go in the Medicare system. By the time dad quits and there's no more health insurance. It's all timing. There was no program that will tell you that. It's just our heads.
So once they're in, are they in for good?
You're in for good. They're in Medicare. And when we retire as a senior, there's stuff that happens. When we get Medicare, there's co-pays and deductibles. And what happened, you have to go buy this thing called a supplement, right? So when we retire, we go on Medicare, we buy a supplement, we draw a death plan. That's what we have to do as seniors. Our child has Medicare, and they still keep Medicaid. Even if their SSI is going away or going down, they keep Medicaid, because Medicaid will pay their drugs and will pay the supplement. They don't need a supplement. So when my child gets older and I retire, they're going to have Medicare and Medicaid, and Medicare charges a premium of like $135. Medicaid is a program to pay it for them. So I'm not expecting you to remember it. Just know when you retire, getting close to retirement, there's special planning you have to do. Okay? A little complicated. All right. So they get their Medicare. And then let's say I pass away. My $2,600, who gets it? Do you know? My spouse. Whoever had the higher earner, I always try the higher earner to wait till they're 80. 70. The 70 is when you get the most. So the higher earner waits until they're going to get the most. The lower earner starts early to get the child on the plan. So let's say mine is 2,600 and my spouse is getting 1,300. I die, my spouse gets mine. No, he died. I don't want his. His is lower, right? He was getting out mine anyway. So he gets my 2,600. Now how much is left for my child? It's not bad. No.
18.
Yep. So 44 is the max. They're giving now my spouse 2,600. How much is left for my child? 1,800 is the max. Okay. So my child went from giving 771. I like this slide. If I can figure out how to use it. Now my child's getting 200 months. That's better than 771. And he's got Medicare and he's getting his Medicaid, and his Medicaid's paying his Medicare premium. If you plan it right, it works really well. Now, people goof this stuff up all the time. I just put a posting on this, everybody on the iPad site, the site for families to research. There's a site on Facebook called IPADD, and it's for families, and you have to ask to be as a closed site, but everybody's asking everybody questions. It's the most valuable thing I've seen parents do. And there's a lot of bad information on it, but as soon as somebody gives bad information, somebody comes up and gives them good. So there's a lot of parents on it, and there's a few of us professionals who answer questions. I posted that we're gonna do this retiring for 3 webinar on April 10th, and within 2 days it was full.
And what's that website?
It's on Facebook, and it's IPADD, Illinois Persons or something AD,
So it's a Facebook group?
It's a Facebook group,
Okay.
and you have to ask to be invited. Okay? You have to be a family member or professional who works in this world.
Yeah.
It's great. And they're gonna see a whole bunch of people go on and they go, oh, how do you hear about it? So it's done.
ahead of class.
It's great, and anybody can go on and ask any question they want. We ask that people don't bash other people,
Right.
be polite, like another site. But people say, you know, my child's just turning 18, I don't know where to start. Or I'm looking for a doctor that does this. Or I'm looking for a school that does this. It's really great. Okay?
Yeah, you mentioned about the source retirement, one spouse retired earlier.
Mhm.
But is there any other option, like maybe only if you have non-working spouse?
If you have a non-working spouse, the non-working spouse will get half of the working spouse's benefit.
Oh, no, they're
Does it
planning, retiring earlier, 2 years
Oh,
earlier.
yes, you can. If they're not working, they don't have their own record.
Yeah.
Yes. If they can you cannot, non-working spouse can't get a benefit until the spouse starts theirs.
Oh.
What if the non-working spouse doesn't have a payment record? Can they still
Then
get that?
they cannot apply, they will get half of their spouses, but they can't start it until the husband. Now, sometimes I say the non-working spouse, if you know you're at this point, get a job and get some credit. Okay? Get enough credits to just have a little bit of benefit.
Oh,
Because as long as you're in and you have a benefit, you can start your own, even if it's peanuts. You can start your own, and what your child gets is half of your full retirement benefit. And so if I start a program and I'm getting $500 a month, but so I take it early and I'm getting $500, but my full pension would have been $1,000, my child's gonna get $500.
oh, as long as they get the 20 credits, then good enough, correct?
If they don't have the credits, they won't get it. So the spouse, if the spouse has no credits, they have to wait to apply for something when the higher earner gets it. And in some cases, then I have the higher earner start earlier. If medical care is so, of course. Sometimes I'll say, let's have the child go on COBRA. You know, everybody's different, so it's hard to answer. This seminar we're doing on the 10th, everybody's bringing their own social security records, and they're bringing their own numbers, and we're gonna work for it. And if it's full, it's just got filled up, we're gonna have somewhere, and we're gonna have some around here too. Okay, all right, because people are getting older and they're now realizing this, they worried about getting it, now they worried about it's changing. Yes,
Is it called iPad Unite? Or just
yes,
iPad? iPad Unite,
Uh-huh.
okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. I'll look before we leave.
Well, Facebook is down, but it.
Yeah,
it
Facebook
did
is down,
pop
can you
up, so-
believe that?
Yeah, but
Okay.
it did pop
Already got
up.
that? Okay, so what do you need to know? You need to know where you work and what state they're domiciled in. And then you ask them if they're self-insured. And then you ask them, your HR department, would a child with a disability be able to stay on the plan? And they will say, I don't know. Reality. So it's up, now, this is what I was talking about when I said you guys need to know more than everybody. This is one of the points that you need to know more than everybody. And ask for the health insurance plan. Know your own social security benefits. When you're doing that budget for your child, and we go into the stage of they're older, they're not gonna get 771 anymore, you can start budgeting for 1,800. And you're gone, right? And everything I told you is now is gonna change. So if you sign up for if you give me your email address and stuff and let us know, we'll put you on our newsletter thing. And once a month, we tell you what's going on with people with benefits. We, keep people educated. All right. So in stage 2, we said your child needs a bunch. In this stage, we said, okay, they're gonna get a bunch, but not enough. Right? Okay, so what can you do? Somebody said, can you save money for them? So I wanna leave my child money. I don't wanna leave them inheritance. The minute I leave them inheritance, I cut them off. I cut them off from SSI, I cut them off from Medicaid. And Medicaid, the biggest thing, I call Medicaid the golden ticket. It might not be that it's gonna pay their drugs. It might be that they're gonna get them in a program. It's gonna get them in funds that's gonna give home-based money at $2,200 a month, okay, to the family. So all those programs are funded through the Medicaid system. And if you don't have Medicaid, no Tiki, no Washi, all right? Okay, Remember when I told you in the beginning and I said what my parents had done? What had they done? Their attorney told them to disinherit my sister and give me my sister's share. And to have her live with me. Okay? That was the advice they got, and that's what they did.
My God.
And so when my parents, now first of all, my parents passed away with no money, because they got sick. But if they had money, and let's say they had left $200,000 for my sister, and they gave it to me, whose money is it?
Yours.
Okay. Can I go to Hawaii with it?
Absolutely.
Do I have to use it for her? No. They didn't give me a legal obligation. They gave me a moral obligation. Okay. They picked me because they knew it was financial. They knew I was connected to the hip with her. But still, I could have, it's not who you are, it's who you marry. It's all that stuff, right? That causes you to do bad things with money. Let's say that I get sued. What happens to my sister's money?
It goes away.
What happens if I die and it goes to my boys and not my sister? My boys might love my sister, but they might think buying a Porsche for her and driving her around is how they should use the money, right? What happens if I'm married and I think my husband's a really good guy and so I put it in joint tenancy knowing that if I could die, he would take care of her. And then he comes home one day and says, yeah, honey, I have a new baby. What happens to the money that I put in joint tenancy? It gets split up in the divorce? It probably wouldn't because I would have killed him already.
Yeah.
So those are things we shouldn't do, okay? We never put other people's name on our money, and we never put our name on other people's money. Rule. I don't care who. If mom says, I'm going to put your name on my account so you can take care of things, say, no, mama, I don't want to do that. Give me a power of attorney, I have authority to do that for you, but don't put my name on your account. Because if I get sued, you're at risk. I don't want you at risk. Okay?
And she would get sued and you'd be at risk.
Exactly. And people come to me all the time and say, I'm going to put my child's name on this. And I said, well, let me talk about your children. And there's one going through a divorce, and there's one got credit cards up the yin-yang. Well, I don't want them losing my client's money, right? So we never put other people's name on it. So what do we do for our child? There's something called a special needs trust. This is called a third-party special needs trust. What does third party mean? It means first party is our child, and third party is everybody else. So the only people who can set this up and put money in it is everybody but our child. I can set one up for your child, and you can set one up for mine. Okay? There's no rules. It has to be family. I can set one up, but my son, I have one for my son. It is called the Mark Eller Special Needs Trust, and Mary Ann Eller is the trustee. Okay? So it's for inheritances. It's for if I want to save money for him. It's a legal document. It's not an account somewhere. It's a legal document. And the legal document says, this money, there's an account that we're going to set up in this name. So if I want to open an account in my name, I go to the bank and tell them what? Here's my name. Here's my social security number. Here's my address. Open me up a bank account. If I want a bank account in this, I say, here's the name of the trust. Here's the trustee. Here's the tax ID that goes with it. Open up a bank account. What are they going to ask for? They're going to ask for a copy of the trust. They want the rules. Okay? So this is how it works. There's a trust. It's for supplemental care only. The trust actually says it is for things over and above what the government will pay for. It is not to replace government money. And it works because your child never gets to touch it. They never control it. It is for their benefit. It is not payable to them. It is not for their basic support. It is for supplemental care. If the government can pay for it, let the government pay for it. If the government doesn't, this money can be used. That's what the trust says. Okay? And then it says, when the person with the disability passes away, you are going to say in the rules of the trust who gets it. So I have a trust for my son. It's Mark's trust. It's for him. When he passes away, I'm giving it to his other brothers. I'm giving it to my grandchildren. And I'm giving it to some charities because I choose to. And I'm giving the charities that helped him. That's just, I suggest people do that. Okay? All right. So what do you need to know about this trust? What's on the paper for? The trust is the rules. That's all the trust is. The trust has language that says, how can you spend this money? And it's very specific. It's very specific. So who can set it up? Anybody but the person who's the income beneficiary, which is your child. Who's in charge? You. You name yourself as the trustee. However, since we're not going to live forever, this has to be a document that will last forever. It's going to last until your child dies, and you may die first. And so we are going to set it up, and we're going to name the money people, I call them. And the money people are the people who are in charge. They're called trustees. So for my sons, I'm the trustee, and it says, I become incompetent or die. I name a sister, and then I name a brother. I didn't name his brothers, because not only is he developmentally disabled, but he's also mentally ill. And mental illness causes trouble with siblings. And so I didn't want his siblings being the one holding the money. And so I said, my siblings will hold it when they get older. I named a trust company to be in charge. I'm taking family out of it, his siblings. Because I don't want to ask him his brothers. Okay? Everybody's going to do something different. I find if it's purely developmental disabilities, I find the family is nurturing, but put mental illness in the box, and all of a sudden it's like this.
I was gonna say for as far as picking someone who's power attorney or in charge of the trust, just to be very particular, because I know from just not even just having anyone related to me with special needs. And when my grandma passed away, my mom had like 8 other people who were beneficiaries who were in charge of the will, but they,
Trustees
you know,
a big job.
yeah.
So-
So be particular as far
Yeah,
as
so what I do,
yeah.
I cannot, see what I happens to be, because I'm in the business.
Mhm.
Because I'm SEC regulated, I'm not allowed to be a trustee.
Sure.
But people put the family member, the trustee, then they put in the document that they can hire me to help them.
Hmm.
And so when somebody's the trustee, they come in and they're like, and when somebody dies and there's a trustee, if mom died and there was a trustee, I never involve attorneys, I don't have to. A trust allows the assets to pass with no attorney. So as soon as somebody dies, I just say, okay, I know how much is there, I'm gonna divvy it up, and I'm gonna open you, an account, I'm moving the money, done. And I can pass money within 2 days.
Gotcha.
Okay, if attorney gets involved, then all of a sudden we get attorney's fees. Trusts pass attorneys, but the trustee has to know. Sometimes trustees feel like they have to do it. They don't. Just hire somebody to do all the legwork for them, and they just have to say they have to understand it and they have to sign it off. Okay. Trust, and then the remainder beneficiaries are the people who are going to get it when that person passes away. Okay? Now, if you have 3 children with special needs, you probably have 3 separate trusts. But if I create one trust, I've decided to create a special needs trust for all of my boys. They all have some disabilities, and I don't know, they're all going cocaine in their system, and it pops up every once in a while. I don't know what's going to happen in their future. I know one is severely disabled, and the other 2 are kind of like, sometimes they're working and sometimes they're in the street. Okay, so I have 3 trusts. Why? Because I don't know, I don't want the trustee to have to decide if I put it in one pot and say use it for all 3. I don't want the trustee to have the job to say, this one needs it and should I spend it all for him? I'm gonna figure out how much each one should get. And then the trustee will know. I'm not putting the trustee in that position. Okay, but the really important thing is here. It should be irrevocable but amendable. Okay? So irrevocable means it can't be changed. Why? The government doesn't want us to be able to do something and later on secretly change it. So the trust says it can't be changed. Whatever I decide in that trust is going to be there. But there's been cases where the government has changed the rules of the trust. And this trust is going to last your child's lifetime. Who's to say the government's not going to come along and say, you have to do something else in that trust or it's not valid? So the trust says it's irrevocable, but amendable to stick in line with the law. So that if the law ever changes, you can go in and have an attorney change it. Okay? Important clauses. Okay. When should you set up a special needs trust? You have to be alive and competent. And since there's no guarantee what tomorrow holds, get it done. You're not going to leave anything in it. In all likelihood, this trust is going to sit there and wait for money. In most cases, this third-party special needs trust is there to receive your child's inheritance. As long as you're alive, it's empty. Now, I've kind of started something because I have hundreds of clients with trusts that are empty, and they're getting older. And now I'm starting to counsel the children who are going to step up and have responsibilities, and they're saying, well, I don't know how this trust works. I'm confused. So I'm going back to the parents who set it up a long time ago, and it's going to be funded by their inheritance, and I'm saying, you know what? Let's put some money. Let's open an account, and let's put some money in it. Let's make it work. It won't be inheritance. Let's just write a $5,000 check and put it in there and get some checks on it, and let's make it start working. Then I bring the future trustees in, their siblings, say, this is how it works. You're going to have this checkbook, going to say, so that my brother and sister will see, here's Mark's trust, here's the bank account that goes with it. There's only $5,000 in it. When I die, I got $1 million of life insurance that will go in it for Mark. Okay? So then there'll be $1 million in that account, but right now there's 5. Here's the checkbook. Here's how you write it out. Here's a piece of paper that says you're the trustee after when I die. They got it all, they're gonna know what to do, they're gonna be educated, okay? I'm trying to get the next generation. When I started this 30 years ago, I didn't really worry about it, they were younger. Now people are dying, so. But you have to be alive and competent, okay? What do you have to do? If you go to an attorney, you have to find an attorney who knows this. 5% of the attorneys on the planet are good at it. What's your risk? Going to an attorney that doesn't know what they're doing. So if you go on our website, you can type in your zip code, it'll tell you the attorneys near you that know what they're doing. I have a lady who called me the other day, she heard me in Wisconsin at a school program. And she called me up and she said, okay, we want to start planning with you. We got the trust all ready to go. We don't need that. We just need all the rest of the planning. I said, okay, well, we're going to sign the trust on Tuesday. This is last week. We're going to go sign the trust on Tuesday. I said, well, who did it for you? She told me the name. I said, I know most of them. I said, would you like to send it to me so I can see it? And she said, oh yeah, that'd be great before we sign it. So she sent it to me. It was 2.5 pages. A special needs trust is usually 25 to 30. And it was 2.5 pages. And the first page was the introductory page, and the last page was the signature page. So I called her up and I says, I don't think your email came through. And she says, yeah. And I said, well, it's 3 pages, 2.5 pages. She said, yeah, I'm so excited to get this done. I said, remember when I spoke and I told you what should be in it? She said, yeah. She said, I gave that list to the attorney, but he said none of it was important. Okay? I said, so I called him up. I didn't want to tell him my email. I said, okay, I'm going to call you tomorrow. Just last Friday. So I called her on Friday and I says, this is so bad. I don't want to tell you, but it's the worst stress I've ever seen. And she was like, I kind of thought that. Couldn't have been that easy. So she did. She called the attorney and said, we're not doing it. But the other sign was he asked her for $500 to do it. Now, a special needs trust, I've never seen them less than $1,500. Just so you know, attorney will charge about $1,500 for the trust, and then you still need wills and your own documents. So if somebody says, I'm gonna do it for $500. The other time they try to get it cheap is they do it this way. They put it inside your will. So if you have a will, what's your will do? Your will says when I die, this is what should happen. If your will says when I die, create the special needs trust, when will the trust exist?
After you're dead.
After you're dead. Okay. When are you gonna die?
We don't know.
We don't know, right? And since we don't know when we're going to die, what if we die in 40 years and there's no more special needs trust and our will creates it? You won't have one. So when you do a special needs trust, a special needs trust should be a standalone document. It should be a document that you walk out, that you have signed it. When you sign a special needs trust, it exists. It's not inside your will, it's a standalone, it's a little book. Okay? You walk out with a book. If somebody says it'll be cheaper if I put it inside your will, you turn around and you walk out. Okay, you wouldn't go to a podiatrist for your heart. It might be cheaper to have a podiatrist fix your heart, but it's the same thing. If you're going to go to an attorney who's going to do it quick and cheap, you're getting your heart fixed by a podiatrist. Remember that when you're thinking about attorneys. Okay, there are attorneys who really don't. So there's 2 reasons. One, you want to have it allowed and create it now and sign it, so that if the law changes later, you got one. They can't take it away from you once you have a document signed. Okay? 2, if you want, so you create this trust, and then you're talking to mom and dad, your parents, and they said, I want to leave Mark something in my will. They don't have to go create a special needs trust. All they have to do is say, I'm going to leave something to the trust that Mary Ann created. And it exists because I signed it. If it's inside my will, they can't do that. Okay? So 2 things. You want to make sure that it's a standalone document. All right. How do you get money in it? 1, your will leaves money to it. Okay? Your life insurance beneficiary. So what I did is I couldn't decide. I had 3 boys. I knew one needed more, but I didn't want to cheat the other 2. And I knew Mark needed a lot. And I hope when I retire, I'm going to have some fun. So I don't know how much. I don't know if I'll get sick, if I'll spend my money, but I knew Mark needed money. And so what I did is I said 1/3 to each boy. And I have this little life insurance policy over here. And I'm paying for it. And when I die, he'll get that. So whatever's left, the boys split, and the life insurance goes to Mark. So that's my answer. Everybody's got their own answer. If your child needs $1 million and you got $4 million, hey, easy. If your child needs $1 million and you have $200,000, life insurance, cheap life insurance is the solution. Okay? Your retirement plans, you have to look at everything. When you come out of the attorney's office with a trust, you are not done in any way. Okay? Because how many have life insurance on the job? 1 time salary, 2 times salary. When you got the job, who would you make the beneficiary on that life insurance?
Yes, spouse and kids.
Spouse and kids. So who are the kids? My kids are Matt, Mark, and Tim. Mark's the one with a disability. He's gonna have benefits. And
Trust,
so
right.
I have to say it's trust. So whenever I'm doing a beneficiaries on anything, I can never say Mark. I always have to make it specific. I can never say children again. I have to say Timothy Eller, Matthew Eller, and Mark Special Needs Trust. So when you come out of this attorney's office, you have to pull all your stuff and check all your beneficiaries, check everything you've done. It's work, okay? All right, one last thing. There's another kind of special needs trust. Sometimes I can tell, I don't see anybody doing that here. If you have an account already that you know has a couple $100,000 in it and you set it aside for your child and you're going, oh shit, I'm really screwed up already, how am I gonna fix that? So when people have big, or grandma just left them some money, okay? Now we have a mistake on our hands. There's another kind of trust that we can put child's money in. We can get them benefits, but when the child passes away, the government gets reimbursed. Okay, so we don't want to use this, we don't have to. We want everybody to make sure they're doing the right thing, but when a mistake happens, we can use this kind of special needs trust. It's called a first party or a special or a payback trust. The reason it's called a payback trust because I can get the benefits. So the child's got money, I can move them into this trust, get them benefits, but when they die, if there's anything left, it goes to the government, a piece of it. Okay?
Can you, if the child's still a minor, can you transfer that money to the parents and it sort of erases?
No,
the
if it's a UTMA account, you cannot transfer back to the parents. It's theirs. Once it's in their name and social security number, it's theirs. Unless it's small money, you can figure out how to. Now, they look like 5 years. If universal trust to minors account, uniform trust to minors account. It's a
But not just
counterpart.
not just a savings account or something.
All right, so there's two kinds of trusts, the third party trust, first party. The other reason what this is used for, anybody here divorced that cares about divorce rules? Okay. If a person gets divorced, child support can be paid to the custodial parent for the life of the child, not just until they're in college. But if the child is getting, if I'm the custodial mom and I'm getting child support, when my child turns 18, I'm getting child support for their lifetime, but who does the child support belong to? The child. If the child gets the child support, even though it's coming to mom, it's considered the child's, and the child will lose their benefits. So instead, we have to have the child support by court order to a special trust. That's what it is. Anybody a teacher? Get TRS? Benefits? Pension?
I've paid into TRS, yeah.
And TRS, some pensions like TRS, police pensions, Navy pensions, federal pensions, usually pensions pay to me, and when I die, it goes to my spouse. And then after the spouse, nobody gets it, except for certain pensions. Some pensions pay beyond the couple, and they pay to a person with special needs. The TRS pension allows the money to go, I die, it goes to my spouse dies, it goes to my special needs child, but it goes to a special needs trust. We have to check every pension and make sure if it's going to be paid to a third person, then allow them to be paid to a special needs trust. If it says it's going to be paid to the child, we have to go back and get it changed. We have to go in front of the pension board or the state. We got the Illinois State Police pension with legislation passed, get it fixed. So we carefully check everybody's pensions too. Okay. All right. Guardianship. When your child's a minor, you put in your will who's going to step into your shoes. Okay, we all do it for our children. When they're 18, are you still at the age of 18? Are you still your children's parent? Yes. Are you their guardian? No. Okay. When your child turns 18, they make their own medical decisions, their own money decisions, their own marriage decisions, everything. They make their own decisions. So they're 18, you have to make a decision. Can they do it or can they not do it? Okay? So in your will, first thing you're doing is you're looking at all these things and you're going to, something happens to me, who's going to make these decisions? Okay? These are care decisions in your will. You're going to say now and into the future, even when my child's an adult, if I pass away, who is going to step into my shoes and take that responsibility? Those are the people that you put in your will as your guardians for your child, if your child's a minor, okay? However, when your child's 18, you have to do something, one of three things. A, do nothing. I see people all the time, they don't do guardianship, they don't do powers of attorney, they say my child can make all these decisions himself. However, even if they do nothing, they should do this, okay? Does everybody here have powers of attorney for themselves? Okay. Do you think your wife has, or husband has the right to sign your name on anything? No. If you're in the hospital, who makes your decisions for you? If you don't have a power of attorney that you have signed with your spouse or someone else, whoever's going to do it for you, you have no protection. That's just, so if you don't have a power of attorney, there's two. There's one for health and property. If you don't have one, you have my card, email me and I will email you the form. You don't have to have an attorney to do it. It's an Illinois statute. Email me and I will email you the form, okay? It's a form that you fill out and fill in the blanks. You say, these are the people who are going to make my medical decisions, and these are the people who are going to make my financial decisions, and you get them notarized, and you or you witness whatever it tells you to do, and then you have powers of attorney. You do not need an attorney for those. Okay? They're standard state statutes. Right.
We don't need those to have one to make those decisions for
your child.
18-year-old.
Yeah, this is, you're to use these. Now you can use this for your child too, if you think they understand what they're signing. Okay? So you know what you're signing. You're going to sit with your spouse, and you're both going to say, or your significant other, or your brother or sister, whoever you're going to use, you're going to sit down with that person and say, you make decisions for me, I'll make them for you. You sign papers, you name the people. Now, your child is going to do one of two things. One, they're going to do nothing, but if they do nothing, and you're doing nothing because you're saying they have understanding. And if they understand what they're signing, you can have them fill out one of these two when they're 18. When they're 17, they're still a minor. When they're 18 and you think they understand that they're giving you rights, they can fill out the form that says, I want my dad to make my medical decisions. Now, if you go to the hospital and the doctor says, he doesn't understand, they'll make you go to court. Okay? I learned this lesson the hard way. I have my son, when he was 21, was when he shot himself. He was my stepson. His dad was out of the picture, and there was no one. And I was not his guardian, and I was not his bio mom, and I had to go to court, and I had to fight his dad and his dad's wife and 3 other people in order to be able to talk to the doctor. Okay? Have powers of attorney. All of my boys now have powers of attorney. Well ones, not well ones, they're over 18. If you have children over 18, they should have these forms. Okay? We never know what's going to happen tomorrow. And without them, you are in court fighting people, because the guardianship process is they go to court, and everybody who knows that person and is related to them gets a letter that you're going to go to court and take this person's rights away. Okay? That's when people come out of the woodwork saying, oh, I don't think she's the right person. Right? Okay. So if your child has capacity to say, I'm giving my mom or dad or somebody rights to make their decisions, make decisions for me, and they sign it and they understand it, and somebody later would question them and say, did you understand what you're signing? And they can explain it, go for it. But if they can't decide it, then you have to go to court and become their guardian. And going to court is a doctor writing a letter. You can't do it until they're 18. You go to court, you bring in medical information. The doctor has to sign something within 90 days that your child needs a guardian. The court will interview your child. If they're significantly disabled, you can look at an attorney and get that child's need to appear waived. But otherwise, you're going to take your child with you to the court, do it yourself. If you think you can handle it, you go to the courthouse. Certain courthouses are really great at helping you fill the forms out. You get in front of the judge. The judges who do this know what they're doing most of the time. Okay? And they're going to ask your child, do you understand what you're doing? The young boy who worked for me, he's 38, but he worked with me for a long time. And when his parents took him to court for guardianship, and he clearly needed a guardian. But the way he answered the questions, he clearly needed a guardian. So, John, do you understand what's happening here? I think so. Do you understand that your mom and dad are going to make decisions for you, and you can't sign contracts and buy things? You can't do these certain things. Yeah. Do you want them to do that? Take charge? Fuck no. That's what he said. That's his words. John said, okay, you got it. Another lady had to bring in the 900 number calls that her daughter had been making, and there was thousands of dollars in 900. So she brought these to the judge. This is what she does. And she said, yeah, those are my calls. And the judge said, okay, you're guardian. So there's 2 kinds of guardian of the person and guardian of the money. Okay? Most attorneys used to say you just need to be guardian of the person. That's taking their decisions. But now we say if you're going to open up an ABLE, and you want to use ABLE in Illinois, you need to be guardian of the estate as well. Why? Because Illinois' ABLE Act says if you are guardian of the person, you are saying your child has no capacity to sign things. And if you don't have also a capacity to sign his financial things, no one can do it in Illinois. because the child was in capacity and you're not in charge of the money. So if you're going to become a guardian, ask for guardianship of the person and the money. Okay? It's a court
Did
proceeding.
you just say that in Illinois, if you're not a guardian, that you cannot open an ABLE account?
If you are the guardian of the person, but not the guardian of the estate, you
Okay.
cannot open an ABLE.
But what if there is no guardianship? Can I open an ABLE
Then he-
account for my son?
Then your son can open it,
He
belongs
can
to
open,
him.
okay,
You're his helper, and the account we were his helper.
help,
If you're not the guardian, they can open it themselves and you're
Okay.
just their helper.
okay.
So if you're gonna go for guardianship and you don't wanna become guardian of the estate, open it before you do guardianship. I didn't say that. I would.
Mhm.
Okay. I think they're gonna get rid of that guardianship stuff. I mean, it's on the table to get rid of it, because all the other states don't have that rule. So JJ, from JJ's list, if everybody knows her, JJ Hanley, she runs the ABLE. I talked to her a lot. I was on the committee in Washington to help develop that legislation. And we've had lots of talks about it. It doesn't make sense if they ever did that in Illinois. So this federal legislation that created it, and the states had to create their own. It's just the 529s, each state has their own. Right? I'm gonna go through ABLE in a second. I mean, with the guardianship, okay? So you become guardian, then your child, let's say you didn't become the guardian, your child opens up a credit card and charges $40,000. Is it a valid debt? If you're not the guardian, yes. If you're the guardian, is it a valid debt? No. Now, there's no sign on a person's head that says they have a guardian. But these credit card companies give everybody credit cards and then they go and use them. So if they are a guardian, they can't sign a contract. So you're protected financially if you're their guardian. Okay.
And I'm sorry,
And you're
first
also-
step to
child's
guardianship
also
is.
First step to guardianship is within 90 days of the guardianship, you have to have a doctor's report. And if you go on the website, the guardianship website, it'll have the forms the doctor has to fill out. It has to be within 90 days. And you want to go get a court date as soon as you can. If you're going to do it yourself, go to the county and go to the office where they have the guardianship forms that give you everything you need. Okay? You can't go to court until they're 18. But you have to get the medical records before, because you want to be going to court. You don't lag. You need to be guardian. Don't do it when they're 19, do it when they're 18. Because the whole time they're 18, they're making their own decisions. They get married, I have a lady who said she should have become guardian. And I said, why did you not want to, and why did you think you so now? She says, well, she got hooked up with some guy and she's pregnant. I says, it didn't matter if you're guardian, that would have happened anyway. Right? I mean, don't beat yourself with that. All right, the other decision the attorney's gonna ask you when you're sitting in front of the attorney is, what about the other children? Parents sometimes feel a lot of guilt about cheating other kids. Most of them don't feel cheated. I feel like I'm blessed. I get to do what I do. That my sister was in my life, my kids are in my life. I'm blessed. And we learn another way of life. So your other kids learn another way of life. Everything's not so perfect all the time, and we learn different. So when the attorney says, how are you going to split the money? Many parents say, well, I should give this child more. It's okay. The other kids get it. It's okay. They'll get it. Do what you have to do. All right. ABLE. So the ABLE Act is a modification of the 529. It started out with some legislation that says we want families to be able to save $500,000 tax-free. They scored it. They said too high. We finally got them to convince to throw it onto the back of the 529 Act. So it's a modification to this college savings. It's a 529A. And so there's very specific rules. Okay? One, it's tax-free. Money in it is tax-free savings. It's to be used for approved expenses only, which means disability approved expenses. The person must have been 26, disabled by the age of 26 in order to use it. They put that in there so that people going to nursing homes couldn't hide their money in this kind of account. The legislation is on the table to change it to 46, because a lot of people become disabled and mentally ill in that other age bracket. But right now, your child has to, so your children will all are eligible to use it. One person, one account per person. So if you're on a 529 account, grandma can set one up and you can set one up for college. Your child can only have one ABLE account. Okay, everybody else can fund it, but one account. The most that can be put in 1 year is the gifting amount, which is right now $15,000. So grandma can't put in 10 and you can't put in 10, that'll be 20. 15 a year can be put in max. Okay, that's all that can be put in any 1 year. The maximum amount can be in that account in a five is the same as a 529 in Illinois. You can have 300,000 in account. Well, it's at 15,000 a year. we're not gonna worry about that for a while.
Can you move money balance at 529 to the able?
You can, I'm gonna show you that. So this is kind of some rules about it. So money can be in your child's name, you can have it in the third party trust, you can have money in the first party trust, or you can have an able account, okay? Usually, the third party trust is just sitting there waiting for inheritances. The first party trust is used for mistakes. Your child can only have 2,000 in their name. The able account can have 300,000 in it, but if they have more than 100,000, their SSI will be suspended. Okay, downside. It's gonna be a while before they have 100,000 in it anyway, so but they can put 15,000 a year in. When it hits 100, over 100, their SSI will be stopped, and then when it goes back below 100, they SSI stop. So if they're on SSI, don't get more than 100 in it. Rule. Okay, for now, they're talking about eliminating that limitation too. Anything can be disability related. Now, there's a big difference between these accounts. I will tell you what it is. The third party trust, you can pay anything for the child. So if the child's going on vacation, it can pay for their vacation and can pay for a traveling companion. That's a first party trust, no traveling companion. The third party, the special needs trust cannot pay rent. Okay, the government benefits are used for basic support, which is rent. So we always had the problem. So my son's living somewhere, and his rent is more than his disability check. I could never give him money because that would be reducing his benefits. I was giving him money. So when we passed the ABLE, he said there's something that the ABLE should be able to do, and we can't do it in third-party trusts, and that's help pay rent. So when I want to give my son money, I can't give it to him directly because that would disqualify him from benefits. He's getting money from me. I can't put it in a special needs trust and give it to him because I can't pay rent. But I can fill his ABLE account and he can use that and pay rent with it. Okay, one little nuance. Two things to know. SSI is suspended if it's 100,000 and there's a payback at death. Okay, not for all Medicaid. It's for Medicaid spent from the date the account was open. And now they have just adjusted it again. They said the state is not going to go after Medicaid, but the feds are. And so things that are coming from the feds have to get reimbursed. Things coming from the state don't, but Medicaid comes from the state. It's just fed through by the feds. So mostly things that are going to be paid, if a person with a disability is going to a nursing home, that will have to be reimbursed. It just came out, that changed. So I'm still trying to clarify what they really mean by what has to get reimbursed. And once I know that, we'll send out our newsletter. Okay. But that's the downside of it. So I don't put a lot in my son's account right now. I don't want to put 100,000 in it. He's not on SSI anymore because he's on disability. Okay, so I don't have to worry about that SSI problem. Once your child gets up in that top quadrant and they're older, we don't worry about it because there's no payback on SSI. There's only payback on Medicaid. If he has Medicare, who cares, right? But until then, if somebody's still getting SSI, you wouldn't want them to be kicked out. So if somebody's still getting SSI, keep the account usable, but not too high. Because if the person passes away, you have to give money back to the state. No, if you want to open up an ABLE, Illinois, the only way to do it is IllinoisABLE.com. I will tell you that Illinois did a great job on their ABLE. Now, they don't do a lot of good stuff for special needs. This one they did good. Okay? What they did, so Ohio came out with it first. We want to use Ohio as you can, but it's expensive. It's got non-resident fees. It's got high. So inside the account there's a checking, and there's a savings portion, and you can have a checking account on it. You can give your child a debit card on it, and there's investments in it. You can pick a portfolio that's 10% equity, 50% equity, just like any other investments. It's really nice. The costs inside of the investments, I've never seen so low. So if you hire a money manager, this is professionally managed money. You hire a money manager, you're usually going to pay 0.5% to 1% of money management fees. It's a quarter of a percent. So it's really nice, okay? The downside is that payback, yeah. So if they get rid of the payback, this will be a great tool, right? But you have to go to Illinois, and you have to open it through that account. This is what changed last year. It used to be 14,000, it's now 15,000 you can put in. That's one change that happened. We can roll over 529s at 15,000 a year. So remember, the 529 doesn't work against your child. So if you think they're going to go to college, I kind of leave it in the 529 because if I roll my 529 over, it stops me from putting the other 15 in. So if I think they're going to go to college, 529s are not an asset of your child, they're yours. So I tend to leave money in 529s until I figure out they're not going to school. When I know that, I'm going to roll it to the other. We get some tax figures, so some credits for people who start saving. And so there's a, and you do your taxes, sometimes you'll see you get a tax credit for saving, that's applies for that. The person who makes money can also put some of their money in it. So my son, I could put 15 in, or he could put 15 in. It can come from anywhere. That 15 can come from anywhere. But then he can also, if he worked, he could put another 12,000 in there. What is it useful? They're making money and they can't keep their account below 2,000. It doesn't reduce their income, but it reduces their asset. So they're getting close to 2,000, takes them out. Okay. It's a nice tool.
So it would have been almost 27,000.
A year. If they're working, you can put 27,000 a year. The 12 has to come from their income, kind of like a special needs IRA.
That's not pre-tax, is it?
Yeah.
It is?
Oh,
The contribution to 529?
it's not pre-tax, but you get a tax credit in Illinois.
Oh, wow.
They just passed that. So this is another 529. You put money in, you get a tax credit. These you do too. Not all states have the tax credit. Yeah, it's nice. All right. So let's say you did everything. We're supposed to wrap up. So let me wrap up and then I'll stay for questions if you have.
Okay.
So let's say you did everything right. Okay? You did the plan, you got the trust, you got the benefits, you're just smoking, you're doing it all. And then you die. Then those people you assigned are going to step into your shoes. So what happens to him? You're going to step into his shoes. You're here. Thank you. Because you're learning. You know how many people don't come when they're family members? Well, so somebody's going to take care of my son. So I pass away and they come to your door and knock on your door and say, Mark's coming to live with you. You're like, what do you know? Okay? You think people know about your child, they don't. So what do they need to know? They need to know everything you know, but you've learned it over a long time. They need to know, where does your child live? Should they live with them? Are they living residentially? What do you plan? If they're young, what were you thinking? If they're older and they're living somewhere, what do they need to know? Right? They don't know anything. Okay? If they're still in school, have they ever been to an IEP? They're going to step into your shoes. They should have gone to an IEP with you because they're thinking it's a parent-teacher meeting. Not like that, right? A little different. Okay? If they're working, what jobs worked and what jobs did they fail at? How are they going to know that? You have it all in your head and they don't know this stuff. These are the people who are going to step into your shoes. You have to track their medical history. Okay, your child's medical history. Not just the drugs they're taking today, and not just their doctors. Because if something happens to you, something's gonna happen and they're gonna look for another doctor someday. And you already went to that. Anybody seen a doctor you wish you never saw? That has to be in the never see list. History. History is really important. Our other kids are gonna grow up and do it. Social life. Our kids' social life is different. Right? And we want to continue their social life. We better tell somebody about it. And this is the biggest one, routines. Okay? How many have put things around your child to keep them safe and focused? It's not normal what we do with our other kids. And somebody's going to step into your shoes and they know nothing. So I'll tell you kind of a funny little story that tells you how important this is. So my son, remember I said he's very OCD. Very OCD. You have to wash a fork for 15 minutes because you can't put it away till it's that clean. So he came to live with me, and he is doing his thing, and I finally felt like I could go back to work at a normal schedule, and I left work in the morning, and I heard him in the shower, and I said, how good, he's up. I showed him how to use my exercise equipment. He learned Braille. I brailled everything in my house. He really learned how to get around the house. I went to work. I said, bye, Mark. I'll see you. I'll be home by 4. Okay. See you, Mom. So he did pretty good that day. I called him and checked on him. And I came home and he was in the shower. And I said, oh, did you use the treadmill today? Yep, Mom, good day. Middle of the night, I heard the water running. I said, what the heck is that? So I went and he's in the shower. Oh, that's weird. Mark, did you take a shower? Yeah, I was just really sweaty in that room. You got to turn the heat down. So when Mark moved in with me, right after the accident, my water bill was $75 a month. So for a quarter, I paid for $400 or something, around that range of a quarter bill. Anywhere between $300 and $400 was the high number. So Mark is living maybe the first quarter, and I get my first water bill. What do you think it was?
$800.
No. 3,800.
No.
I called the village. I said, I must have leaked. He said, no, ma'am. He needs that water. I said, Mark, what are you doing when I'm at work? I'm in the shower. I'm not clean. This game's always right. So I looked on the internet. There's a little place you can put on the shower, and it shuts the water off. It's on more than 10 minutes. He's in an apartment now. The first thing I did was buy him one of those because his landlord would kick him out. Right? So one day he comes to live at your house. What do you want to know? Right? These little things that we do because we have to do them, and we forget that we did them. And I wrote it down, and I put the description of it, and it's in my instructions. Okay, we all have those little things. Maybe that was it's a true story. It's a big thing. It's not a big thing anymore because I figured out the solution. But if he moves in with you, you don't know that solution until you get the first bill, and the village doesn't give you a pass. Right? Your problem. So that's called kindness. So when we pass away, somebody has to know all this, or we become incompetent. We have to write it down. So I've been doing this for 30 years. First 20, I told people you need to do it. I didn't do it. Then they came to my office and said, okay, here's the book. You're going to fill out this page. So now we have created it all online. It's kind of a fun game. We have the person with the disability get involved. There's all these categories they can do it. They can download pictures. They can make a book about themselves. There's username and password. I don't care how you do it. We just try to make it fun. Because you have to create an operating manual to pass stuff along. And the problem with the book was that people would write it in and then they want another page. So this is all automated. It's kind of a fun thing. Okay? I don't care how you do it, which it's really important. All right, and share. So while you're doing this homework, I'll tell you one last story. But I gave you a little card. It's a green card. I call that my guilt card. What I'd like you to do is, while I'm finishing up my last story, think about the one thing you're going to do in the next 30 days. Is it get your Social Security statement? Is it, I don't care what it is. If it's to pull out your trust, if you have one, to see if it looks right. If it's whatever piece of that planning you're going to do, pick one thing. Not two and not three, one. Okay? And you'll write it on there that you're going to do it. And on the other side, write your name and address, and I'm going to collect them. I'm going to mail it back to you in 3 months. But if you haven't done at least what you said you'd do in the first month, you're going to feel guilty, which is what Okay, I'll tell you one last story. So, I always ask my mother to write about my sister when my sister died. And I thought I wanted to know. At that point, I wasn't a mom yet. I said, please tell me about her. I was so close. I was so devastated. Please write about her. My mother didn't do it. And then my mother got dementia. And I'm moving her to my house because I needed to take care of her keep her closer to home. So I moved her and I moved some furniture and I moved a set of drawers, just her drawers in, and I moved them in. And I opened up, I was going to start cleaning them out, and the drawers were full of letters, numbered 1 through 2,123. And she started by saying, today's the day Marsha was born. She chronicled my sister's life with a minutia detail. I think it was therapy for her, but it was, I'm reading it. She's sitting next to me while I found this. I'm reading it, and she's like, why are you crying? I said, you wrote these. I did. I don't remember that. But she chronicled my sister's life from the time she was born to the day she heard what cerebral palsy and what didn't know what it meant. Sitting me down when I was 6 and giving me responsibility she never should have given me. She remembered everything. And then, so my sister was in a program from a very young age, and I don't remember what it's called anymore, Lamont's method or something. And we had to pattern her every day. And she would crawl, and they believed that the crawling was developing the brain. And actually, my sister learned to read doing this. And she only could read letters. So everything in our house was labeled with red letters. And we had to go around and repeat those words. It was base, it said base with big letters. But she crawled an hour a day, and then she laid on the table, and the 4 of us had to move our arms and legs in order to develop her brain. My parents, we went to faith healers, we went everything. So I was the key crawler, and my parents gave me the job of crawling every day with her. I'd come up to school and I'd crawl for an hour a day, and that was my commitment, and I said I would do it. So one day, when I was 8, I wanted to go out, and my kids used to come to the door and say, call up here, Marianne, come out and play. And we're going to do a play today. You want to come out and play with us? And I said, I can't, I got to crawl first. And I was really upset because I really wanted to do that. So I came in and said, please, can I crawl later? No, you crawl first. My mother was very, this is what you do. So I was really upset. I was crying and I didn't want to do it. I was really upset. I don't think I've ever was that upset in front of my mother before at age 8. So she wrote about that day. And she said, do you remember the day that you wanted to go and the kids were going to make a play and you wanted to be in the play? It was amazing that you remembered all these stories. And she says, and I told you no. And you cried for the longest time. I'm so sorry. I never should have made you the mom at age 8. So I'm reading this, right? So I said, okay. Thank you for at least saying that to me. So the next day, I read the next day. I read one day because I couldn't emotionally count more than a day. So I read the next day and it said, you know what I said yesterday about feeling bad about that? I take it back. She says, what you did with it, that I was so proud of you. So you got so mad, you turned that anger you had at me, and you took out these little pieces of paper, and you put brochures on them that you were making a crawling club. And people needed to come, and who would sign up? She had 60 people signed up. You only had to crawl once every 2 months because you had people coming to crawl. And she said, you had the neighbors from blocks around signed up. She said, so I'm not sorry because that's who made you an entrepreneur, me. So it's such a cute story. But all the pages were like this. Funny stories, sad stories. I have a book about it. Usually I try to bring one, but I didn't bring much of it. And it was just, so I tell that story because we as siblings, our family members are changed. We are. So sometimes as parents, we feel, and I've had this discussion with my other 2 boys, because they're doing okay and their brother isn't. We have conversations about, are they, their role and, how do they feel about it? And they knew my sister. So my one son, who's pretty disabled, said to me, Mom, now he's speaking. He goes out to restaurants and talks to people. They have these little things going on about what it's like to be disabled, and he does some really neat stuff. And he keeps saying, but I'm not you, Mom. I'm not you. I'm not doing that. Okay, but I just saw you. You got a band now. You call it the Blind Drummer. Come on. But we are changed as family members, as parents, as siblings, as grandparents. We're changed. And when I look at the group of people that I see on a regular basis, kindness emanates from all the people in our group. And it's not the same in other families, and I know it is sometimes, but there's just something special that we have learned inside to be just a little more understanding on the planet. So I thank you for listening tonight. If there's anything we can do for you, we offer free 1-hour consultations if you want to come in. We have lots of classes on our website that are free. We have classes that are, we have lots of stuff that we want to get to people, everybody to learn. And we're doing this Parent University, which is 1 night a month. So if you want to sign up for that, it's all free. Okay. Thank you very much. Guild cards.